For 3 weeks, our rack system was returning the garbage. Not errors, not timeout, just steady degrading answers. Now the users stopped trusting the system itself. There were no alerts fired, no logs showed anomalies. The system looked completely healthy on the dashboard that we had. And we only found out because a customer success manager forwarded an email thread which said as, why did a quality get so much worse? Now we checked the retrieval score at that time, and what we found out was the average cosine similarity had dropped from 0.78 to 0.41 in just 3 weeks. The failure mode wasn't that the retrieval broke, it's a retrieval that kept working just badly, and the system had no idea as what was happening. Now, the silent degradation is a most common production rack failure that I've seen. Now, it's not the chunking error, it's not the embedding drift. These are the ones that provide the visible break. But when we talk about the silent degradation, it's worse because the system continues to generate the response. The LLM sees the low quality context and it does its best. The output is plausible, but in reality is just wrong. So most teams, what they would do over here is whenever they are instrumenting the rack system, they are going to instrument such a way that they're going to have the instrumentation of latency, they'll have the throughput, they will have an error rate. Now, all of those can be green while retrieval is quietly failing. Because if you think about it, the retrieval doesn't fall in the HTTP sense. It only returns the irrelevant ones. I mean, that's what is happening whenever we say the retrieval is failing. It just returns the result, but it will be irrelevant ones. Now, the architecture reality that I want you to remember right here is when we talk about the retrieval quality, it's not something that you can observe through the infrastructure metrics. You need semantic instrumentation. And most teams don't build that until after the first silent failure. Now, this is a timeline that I want to give you so that you'll have a better idea about what exactly is the use case that I'm talking about. We had a document ingestion pipeline. Now, this document ingestion pipeline, it picked up a document, performed the chunking, it embedded and indexed into a pinecone vector database that we were using. It's a basic standard flow that we have implemented. Every night, what we were doing was we were reprocessing the updated documents. Now, on one night, what has happened was there was a small configuration change. The chunking strategy was earlier 512 tokens and it had 50 tokens as overlap. Now, someone came back and changed it to 1024 tokens with zero overlap. Now, let me tell you, this change was intentional. Someone thought the larger chunks would preserve more context. Now, I'm not denying that, and even they were not wrong about that. But what they didn't do was they did not recompute the embeddings that were already existing. That is, for the already existing documents, the embedding still remained at 512. Now, what we now have in the vector databases, we now have the mixed index. We have old documents which was chunked at 512, and I now have the new documents which is chunked at 1024. Now, all of these embed within the same model. But if you think about it, if I have some sentences represented in 512 and if I have some sentences in 1024, what it means is each of the scenarios, it is having a different level of granularity. Now, whenever a query is happening, the retrieval was actually returning the mix of these embeddings. Sometimes the old chunks, sometimes new chunks. Now, this was what was happening during the retrieval. Now, when you think about the cosine similarity, the similarity scores were statistically valid. But if you think about from a semantic standpoint, that is the meaning standpoint, it is incoherent. So a query can actually pull, let's say, three fine-grained chunks from 1024 chunks, and it might find two coarse-grained chunks from, let's say, 512 tokens. Now, when this is the data that the LLM received, what LLM can do was like at the end, LLM tried its best to synthesize across the given context it was fed with. And as a result of this, the output drifted. There was no error, there was no crash. It just fell silently. I mean, it just started generating the output, which is very low. Now, in the backend, okay, we had logging. Now, what we had tracked was we tracked the retrieval latency, we tracked the index size, we tracked the query throughput, all were normal. And even we had the P95 latency, it was actually better because we had larger chunks, and larger chunks reduce the number of round trips to the vector database. We had error tracking at that time. There was no exception, there was no timeout, there was no null results. The retrieval always returned the top k results with valid similarity score. Now, what we did to do was we didn't track the semantic relevance. We assume that, see, if retrieval is getting succeeded, it means the semantic scores were above the threshold. The system was healthy. Now, that was our assumption. The assumption is what had actually killed us in this case. The gap over here is the cosine similarity. The cosine similarity, if you think about it, it's just the mathematical proxy, guys. It's not a quality signal, it's just the mathematical proxy. It's not the quality signal. So if I have a score of 0.6, it means that the vectors are somewhat aligned. It doesn't tell it actually doesn't tell us that if the retrieved content is actually answering my query. It doesn't say, it just says that mathematically, okay, this somewhat aligned, these two vectors are somewhat aligned. Now, what it means is you can have high similarity and low relevance if your chunks are poorly segmented or if your embeddings are actually stale. So, what you actually need in the production rack system is you need the second order metric. That is something which can measure whether the retrieved content is semantically sufficient for the generation task. Now, this is called as the second order metric. And most teams don't build this until they have lived through these kind of silent failure. Now, this kind of detection gap exists because we generally treat the retrieval, it's like a normal data fetch operation. Like that's what we generally tend to do when we are thinking about the RAG based system. In the traditional system standpoint, what you would generally do, you would query a database, you will get some rows back, and the correctness is binary. That means either the data is present or the data is not present. But if you think about it from the retrieval standpoint that is in the RAG, it is probabilistic in nature. There is no binary correctness over here. It is just the gradient of relevance that you can't observe without semantic evaluation. Now, when we talk about the fix, we implemented whatever the fix that we implemented, it actually had three layers. First, we started logging the retrieval scores per query, not just the aggregate, but we were tracking the distribution. Let's say if P50 score drops below a learned threshold, something changed upstream. Now, this catches the drift, but not the semantic coherence. Second, sample based LLM evaluation. Every hour, We take 50 random queries, run the retrieval, and pass the results to a judge model. The judge answers, is this context sufficient to answer the query or not? Then here we are going to log the pass rate. If it drops below 85%, we alert. Third, we call it as the document version fingerprinting. So every chunk will be carrying the metadata about the ingestion pipeline version, which actually created it. Now at the query time, we log whether the results came from the mixed pipeline version, and if more than 20% of queries return mixed version chunks, then we alert it. Now this actually helps us to catch the configuration drift before it degrades the quality. And let me tell you, none of these are perfect. The judge model has its own failure mode. The thresholds are empirically tuned and they are not theoretically derived, but they convert a silent failure into a detectable one, because that is the whole point right here. We are not looking into a perfect solution. Now, what most teams would do whenever they are building the RAG monitoring is they build the RAG monitoring these stuff after the system is already degraded. They add logging reactively. So the mental model that survives in the production is actually different. So what survives in production is you have to treat the retrieval as a service level objective surface. It's not an infrastructure layer. You have to define the semantic SLOs. You should not be thinking about the retrieval seconds, but retrieval returns the context that's supporting the generation quality. So what you need to do right now over here is you need to measure that with the sampling and automated evaluation, whether the retrieval is returning for me the sufficient context. When SLO breaks, you have a detection before users started to complain. The trade-off over here is this adds latency and the cost, which is you should be running the judge model and you should be having these samples collected, and these judge model will be running on these samples. It's going to cost your inference budget that you might have, and you need to be logging the scores. That's going to increase the storage versus you should be flying in the blind. So you have to choose either the cost or taking a chance and flying in blind and risking your company. So in production RAG, these kind of silent failures are much more expensive than the instrumentation to catch error. So the reusable model is simple. You have to build the semantic observability. That's not optional. And if your system's correctness depends on the content quality, you need content aware instrumentation. The infrastructure metrics will not give you the complete picture. In some cases, it might lie to you as well. So the key takeaway from this video over here is simple. The silent retrieval failures happen because the system has no internal representation of good enough. The retrieval succeeds in the operational sense while failing in the semantic sense. The gap between those two is where your production incidents live. The fix is not about having the better embedding or smarter chunking. Those can help, but they don't solve the observability. The fix is accepting that the rack system needs semantic monitoring, not just the infrastructure monitoring. That means sampling, evaluation, and service level objectives, which have been defined on the content quality, not on the latency. If you're running the RAG in production, assume your retrieval is silently failing right now. You just don't know it yet. So these silent failures don't come from bad models. They come from the system that were never instrumented to actually see them. So if you want to build a rack pipeline, the way the production teams actually do with the help of guardrails, observability, and the overall orchestration and deployment, I've put together a program that walks you through it in an end-to-end manner. So go ahead and explore it here. That is rag.nachiketh.in. If you want to dive deeper and ensure that you're actually running these in the production, so join our bootcamp as well if you want to operate at the next level. So build it once, you will never look at the retrieval the same way again. All right, guys. So that was it for the video. And subscribe to our channel for more such content on Agentic AI. I'll see you next time.